What's up, guys, and welcome to today's tutorial. Vicky Melody here, and I'm going to show you how I mastered this track. This is currently one of my favorite tracks, and I'll show you how I did this current master. So let's head straight to the system and see how we did it. Okay, so I'm going to play sections of the beat. Like I'll take from the verse to the chorus. I'll show you what it sounds like before the mastering, and I'll also show you what it sounds like after I've loaded the master. Then we'll take it gradually. So in the course of the video, any stuff you don't understand, you could repeat stuff, go back, because that's how we learn stuff effectively. So let me just play. This video is going to take a while. It's going to be a little bit long, but it's just to pass the right information across. So I'll show you what it sounds like before and after. So this is before.
Well, let's on trips. How do they keep joy? Okay, if they come my house, don't forget to knock. And if I no agree, open, make it this and back. Before you see me now, you go visit my bank. Yeah, you go visit my bank. Now poverty be the sickness, been they owe me down. They tryna put me down, if I no green now. They tryna quench me up, if I no green now. The boy he carry fire where they know the off. I find I conquer, discover my talent too. I don't need transaction like on a government. I need the transaction.
Okay, please make sure you're listening with your headphones so that you get the whole idea. And I made the instrumental. Yeah, I recorded the artist, mixed it, then I mastered the job. So let me show you what it sounds like after the master. It's going to get loud now. So
Well, let's on trips. How do they keep joy? Okay, if they come my house, don't forget to knock. And if I no agree, open, make it this and back. Before you see me now, you go visit my bank. Yeah, you go visit my bank. Now poverty be the sickness, been they owe me down. They tryna put me down, if I no green now. They tryna quench me up, if I no green now. The boy he carry fire where they know the off. I find I conquer, discover my talent too. I don't need transaction like on a government. I need the transaction will be like that and mine.
whoa, that was late, man. I love the song from the when I started making the instrumental to the mixing and to the mastering. I just love the song. I'm going to favorite it in one of my playlist. So, but then at the time of making this video, this song hasn't dropped yet. So I think he's making an EP. So this is one of the songs that is in the EP. So the first thing I did. Now this is my other screen. Let me bring it up here. The first thing I before I do my start my mastering, the first thing I do is to just look at the waveform. Then looking at the whole waveform, I will now decide what I'm going to do with the compressor. Yeah, because this here shows us the dynamics in the song. So it's a little bit dynamics in the whole song. Like there's some quiet parts, some loud parts. You see, so that means I'm going to use a compressor to catch these peaks to make it a little bit more even. So that's the first thing I look out for. I just look at the waveform. There are some mixes that you get, and the waveform is almost like level. You wouldn't want to use compressor to, because mastering is not just slamming everything all the time, like every process all the time. No, it's different all the time. So that's just the first thing I look out for, dynamics, before I now start listening to the sound. So, but since we have some dynamics in this song, it means I'm going to be doing some compression on it. Okay. All right. The first, let me bypass everything. I will show you everything in a bit. So mostly before I start, I will just add. You guys have seen me use this analyzer. It's just to analyze. It's usually on the last chain there to look at my waveform, whether the interpretation of the song is correct visually. Most times we don't trust our ears, we use our ears. We don't trust our eyes, we use our ears. But then having something that shows you something visually will help you know where your frequencies are lacking. So if you could see these lines here, they are showing us the low frequencies. From here you see that it's marked to 100. Then we have our mids to 1k, from 200 to 1k. You see they are grouped together. Then look at our highs, 10k to around 4k. Those are where important frequencies lie. You You understand? So that's why it's good to use analyzers. So it's going to be on my other screen. And what I did first was compression. And first of all, I used the first compressor, but I didn't like the way it was sounding, because most times we do try and error. We are going for a particular sound. There is no particular plugin you put and it will just work. Normally, when I master, I use this compressor as my main compressor, but then I added it. It wasn't sounding good because the way the groove of the song, the bass line and the instrumental was playing is different from, there is a vibe it was giving, and this compressor wasn't working perfectly. So the first thing I did was to work on the most important part of every song, the mid-range. The mid-range is the most important part. So I brought in the Fab Filters Pro C, my normal compressor, but then I had to do a sidechain compression. Look, this is the sidechain. I had to activate just the mid, so I will compress the mid. I will leave the highs and the lows. I just want to have that place steady. Once your mid range is worked on perfectly, then you're going to be assured of clarity in your vocal and in the mid range, because then the mid range is where your laptops play, where your phones play, where the audibility of the lyrics and everything is. So that's the most important. The low end is the energy, what gives it that punch. Then the highs is where the excitement lies. So understanding those frequencies will help you know where you're going. So I just how I did this was I was playing the song, and I will audition. I just click on audition to listen to the mid range I want to select. So let me just play.
Come my house, no forget to knock. And if I no agree, open make you this and back.
So I just selected that mid range. Then I'll off the audition, so I'll listen to the whole song now. But then the compressor is now focusing on that middle mid range. So I went for a ratio of 4, an attack of 3, because this is mastering. You don't want your compressors to slam down the peaks instantly, because you still want that dynamics is what gives it a bounce and groove, you understand. So I kept the attack at 3. Then auto release works fine all the time. Then I just use my threshold to get like a minus close to -3 dB of gain reduction. Come my house, no forget to knock. And if I no agree, but then don't be fooled. You cannot just use the compressor and play, and because it works in one part, then you feel it's going to work in all the parts of the song. What I did was to listen to the most loud part, usually the chorus. Then that's where I make my compression work. I wouldn't want it to pass 3 dB at that point of gain reduction, because during the verses it might be compressing less, but in the chorus, when mostly all the elements in the song are there, it's going to get a little bit more loud, and you want your compressor to work. That's why the compressor works at the most. So normally I would just loop the chorus and work on my compressor. So let me just you see my gain reduction here, especially when the drum and the snares were rolling. You see the compressor working the more. You see, so that was the first thing I did, and I was good there. Then I now brought in my main compressor, which is the SSL. That's the solid state logic. It's just more like a bus or master bus compressor. It's even written here, master bus. It works very well on masters. So I did the same thing, an attack of 3, auto release, then ratio of 4. Then I was just watching the needle, so that I would just get mostly around -2 or -3 of gain reduction. So you watch, she was just around there. I wasn't slamming or killing the song, you understand. So after that part, I brought in my EQ. Normally the first thing I do is to take down stuff. If you've been watching videos on my channel, you see that I take down stuff the more than I even add, because if you take down impurities, the good parts will have the chance to shine. Understand? All right. So the first thing I took down was around because there's frequencies between 200 and 400 that usually is not steady. It depends on the song, the key, and everything. So you hear that frequency, I was taking it down. And don't be fooled by this plenty stuff. This is just minus 1.5 dB. This is just minus 1.5. I wasn't going, don't look at the size. I just minimized the view so that I will see more. Normally this is how it looks like. So you see that I wasn't taking down much. Before you think I was taking down too much, I just zoomed in so I'll see more. Then I also did dynamic EQing here on this frequency. You see that there are some times that when he says some words, some of those frequencies there just get crazy loud. So I just use it to just duck it down. Just minus 1.1, just little. Then I increased this frequency. That's around near around 2K because there are good frequencies there. I call it the laptop or the phone frequency, because those are the frequencies that our phones and laptops can put out effectively. So you just help those devices. You have those devices in the mind when you are mastering your track, because mastering is more like making your song ready to play in almost every device and still sound good. Understand? So then I took down this frequency. More of the whistle frequency. No, this frequency was I think 1000 something. This one. Then I took down around the 2K because he was whistling, but I did dynamic EQing. It wasn't steady. I was just taking it down anytime it gets too loud. Then in the high frequency, I made a boost, but now not on the stereo. If you were there, this has different color. This is the stereo. That's the left and right channel, everything together. But then this is the side. The middle is neglected. I'm just working on the side, the stereo side. So I just wanted to have more brightness on the on the side. That's giving it more stereo width. Understand? More like stereo imaging. This frequency. So I just increased that frequency on the sides to give it that, make the stereo image a little bit more bright instead of taking up the whole brightness of the song. Understand? So that was just what I did there. Then I brought in, I've started using this guy a lot. There's just something that it was modeled. They modeled some of these classic EQs that they use on the boards. They just sound good even without tweaking any stuff. Once you add it, you just hear something that just sounds good. Understand? They just designed it based on how electricity passes through those boards. So once you just add it, you just feel a little bit more life before you even start adding any stuff. So I use it most of the time in my master. Then I just selected the frequency of 10,000. This 10K. Then I just boosted it to like 2 dB. Understand? To give it a little bit more icing effect. Understand? So I will just increase it so you see what I was adding. So you see that frequency just brings a little bit more life. You see, even when I added it to like 9 dB, it wasn't so painful. It was just, that's why I just love this EQ. Is the PureTech whatever. But then if I listen to the song in the mix, I already made the bass. I mixed it myself, so the kick and the bass was already sounding good enough. Normally, if it was a mix someone sent to me, because I mix for people from this channel and everywhere who send me their projects, and if I feel the lows doesn't have that punch or stuff, I will just boost just the low frequency. I will just boost it and then get the right amount of weight and life in the low frequency. So that was just all I did here. Then added saturation. Saturation is more like adding harmonics to already existing frequencies. You understand? So when you add saturation, the song is going to feel a little bit more loud. It's not like it's getting loud, it's just adding extra frequencies to your song, so making the frequency a little bit thick. Understand? So this is what it sounds like. So now when you oversaturate, you add distortion, because then it's adding more and more frequencies, then everything will now clash. So just saturate with sense. You understand? So I just added 0.7 and I was satisfied. Don't just overkill it. So the next thing I added was another EQ, because after saturation I listened again, and then I felt the harmonics added weren't sounding very good in the low frequency, around 1 between the bass and the kick. So I just did a dynamic EQ there. Some part of the kick and some part of the bass we are clashing, so I just used that to just duck it down. Then also after the saturation, the high frequency a little bit unpleasant to me. So I took that down. Understand? Then as I played the song over and over, because we don't just do this thing in a hurry. So I played it, and I felt the bass was a little bit too much, because then when the bass is too much and you add your limiter, it's going to mess up the whole stuff, because the low frequency will be triggering the limiter the more, which is not usually so good. So what I did was to add multi-band compression, but then I had to work on the low more. That's the first thing I did. So I selected the low frequency up to like 144. Then I just solo it to listen to the frequency, because you don't use your eyes to know. So at that point I soloed it and I selected the frequency correctly, like with this band. So I was now good. Then I now had to, like, this is the threshold, and I had to make the threshold so that anytime the bass is overriding, the compressor will take it down, so that you don't have, when you play it in some speakers at high volume, you see that your speakers will start distorting all those stuff, because of untreated low frequencies. So I just worked on that. You understand? You watch when the bass line, when the bass guitar is sustained, like boo, that compressor takes down the volume, because when that sustain happens and it meets your limiter, it's going to like make everywhere so crazy. But then I also did from the 8K up to 20K. I also did a little bit compression, because there were some parts when after my rolling, when the cymbal hits and his voice clashes, everything gets loud. So I used that. Just to keep my high frequencies in check. I didn't touch the mids, because then the first compressor I used has already compressed that part for me. So then this is one tool I use most of the time, because you can never be right all the time. So most times I'll just add, before my limiter, I'll just add a frequency, an EQ, select only the mid-range, usually between 215 to like 4K. That's the mid-range. I'll just do this and on it and listen to the mid-range only. Then if there is any part that is not sounding correctly, I will know after doing this. I just cut off the lows, cut off the highs, listen to the most important part of the song. Because me say na mad, we go so we pass the way the kind of color. If you pay anyway, I color. So most times I'll keep it on while working on plugins ahead of them. Understand? I will just leave it on as a guide. I might just on it, work on some stuff, and put it off again, because you can fool your ears if you listen to mid range for a long time. So I'll just listen, work on stuff, then on it back. Just go back and forth. Then I added my limiter. I use the any limiter can work, but I love using the FabFilter Pro L2, and I select the style of dynamic. Then I just you have to be watching your meter here, the short term reading. That's what you want. So it's usually between -8 to -7, around that range. I have my perfect loudness. Understand? And most times I select the chorus because that's the loudest part.
He calls me cinnamon, we go soon repent. So when the night I call him, anyway. I call him anyway.
You see, now we have a very, and most times after adding the limiter, I also listen to the songs, and if there are stuff that weren't sounding good, like some of these things you saw me do inside the song here, this particular EQ was done after the limiter has been added, because when everything gets loud, you now start hearing even stuff that are not good. So you always go back and tweak some stuff. So this tweaking I did there came after I did this. You understand? So you don't just add my limiter and everything is done. No, you always go back and review what is sounding correct or not. Understand? So that was it. But then I always had my analyzer on, so I'll be sure that all the frequencies are a little bit more evenly distributed. None is just too high, another one is low, another one is high. That is a messed up song or sound. So I had it on all the time.
He calls me cinnamon, we go soon repent. So when the night I call him, anyway. I call him anyway. My God, no they miss poverty before, I go still reject them again. Obi Kubana Chupi Zion, baby uncle, Casa di Boca, Zubi Michael, inspire me, take me higher, like my God, take me higher, like my God. So when the night I call her, if you pay anyway, I call her.
So guys, that was it. It was long, but I think it was worth it. So do well to subscribe, and more and more in-depth mixes and stuff will still be out on the channel. So do well to support the guy, and I'll keep giving you more and more info. So see you guys next time. Vicky Melody say bye bye.